So I will kick things off with Neon Girls, right? This is a new
Sure.
project from Ansel Harris. I've been talking about his work for a long while now, and yeah, this is like his newest project, right? But the interesting thing about this thing, well, two things, right? This is a pilot episode, right? And
Yeah.
at the moment, we're not sure exactly when we're gonna get a follow up to this, right? But judging of the reviews and the reception that it received since it came out a while back, right? And yes, forgive me for being late to this, but yeah, just a lot of things came up in my life, right? Yeah, like the hype surrounding this is kind of high, right? So, I just do hope that Ansel and his Vil Ventures team actually continue on this show, right? And secondly, this actually is not related to any of his previous projects, mainly centering around Magnolia or Visa Claw, right? So as the episode begins, we see that we are on Earth 2, which is kind of funny, because, you're just thinking both like what DC does, especially with Flash, all these Earths and all that kind of stuff. But then also Marvel, right? Well, the MCU in particular and the whole multiverse stuff, right?
Right, right,
That was really interesting that, we're doing an alternate timeline kind of show, right? And yeah, in a nutshell, what it's about is just this trio of female bounty hunters. It's set in the near future in Trinidad, and it's just sort of set up here where these bounty hunters just pretty much do jobs and whatnot, and that's how they just make a bag. That's how it is, right? And later on, we are involved. Oh, sorry. And later on, we see this new character by the name of Minister Hector, and she reaches out to someone and is like, "Yo, we need somebody to pull off this particular task, to find this particular person." And the guy that she's speaking to, I believe is a relative of hers, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's like, you know what? I know who you should reach out to. Yeah, she reach out to the Neon Girls, right? So essentially, what
right.
we get here is just an introduction, right? We get an introduction to the world itself, who these characters are. That would be Nyx, Naz, and Nova. How they work in tandem, how they get the job done, what I mean, and whatnot, and how they just basically do it in style, right? Because if it's one thing that this pilot episode really nails, though, it has a specific style, right? I would say it reminds me a bit of Sister Bond, especially with the use of music, because I noticed some hyperpop, some EDM music here and there, right? So it's just all about kind of just getting the vibe of it, right? But I felt like compared
Right.
to Sister Bond, the use of music here really worked much better, I must say, right? Not just in terms of the tone of the film, right, which is kind of light-hearted, but just kind of edgy, and it's just like kind of badass as well. But also in the setting, right? It's near future, so it's not like all futuristic and whatnot, right? But it's still like this is the type
Yeah,
of music we
it's
listen to,
cyberpunk. Yeah.
right? Exactly. Um,
Yeah.
but on the subject of that, though, I do hope that going forward, and I'll explain why in a bit,
Mm.
I do hope that we see more of the world itself, right, in terms of how it looks, right?
Right.
Because while I do like, the exterior shots, and actually you have to give credit to the drone shots that they use, especially for establishing shots or whatnot, right? I still didn't get the sense of this place being a dystopia or, or a utopia. I didn't get the sense that we are in this ultra modern society, right? It still sort of feels like we in modern day Trinidad and Tobago, so to speak, right? So,
Right, right, right.
I
All
just,
right, nice. That's just choke up the budget, I assume. So.
yeah, I know, but given how the closing credits look in particular, while I do enjoy how it looks and whatnot, I'm just there like, all right, well, it's called Neon Girls and Sherman, like a neon lit city. Can we? I'm not saying do a neon lit city and have that be an established shot, but just give me a little bit more of the world. Show me more of the ultra modern of this world here. Show me more of how things have progressed or not progressed, right? I want to get a better sense of the world itself, right? Also, I have to give credit to the performers. I felt like they did a solid job here. Not a lot of dialogue, throughout this. I would say 15 to 60-minute runtime, right? But yeah, the dialogue is snappy and witty and whatnot, and it's to the point as well, right? You get a couple of really like very entertaining, I would say, set pieces. One involving the three girls going after this one called, I should say, this bounty. You know what I mean? Very Cowboy Bebop-esque kind of way in terms of how they pull it off. Also, like the fact that we have this side character, this hacker, who, yes, is able to pull off, be able to hack into certain like servers or hard drives or whatever it is to get information and whatnot. And points for having her be kind of, I think this is where the inspiration came from. Kind of like how I forgot the character from Birds of Prey.
No Oracle.
Oracle, that's it. Yeah, I was getting
Okay.
that Oracle kind of vibe from her,
Yeah.
right?
Nice Barbara Gordon.
Right, Bob. Right, duh. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
supposed to know that shit, right? But anyway, yeah. I was getting that kind of vibe of it as well, right?
Yeah.
And I also like this little instance where one of the characters finds a history book, right? And swear to God, I was wondering if it was like a Republic reader or like one of those books that I would have read when I was in secondary school, but it's not, right? But yeah, it essentially kind of gives us a even greater sense of the world that they're in right now. Because yeah, she's reading and she's learning about how the world was, how Trinidad and how the economy and how just how Trinidad was before basically this sort of like apocalyptic event. That's pretty much what happened, right? And I do like how they state that at the intro as well. I thought the intro was pretty cool, but just bringing it back up with this character just being so intrigued by, this is how the world was and we should learn from our past or whatnot. That was really cool as well, right? But just to close things off though, as for gripes though, just one gripe I have with it though is that ultimately it still feels like the intro, right? I felt that there could have been more story put into this pilot episode, right? Because just basically what we just got was just a introduction into the characters, into the Minister Hector, and stuff like that, but not a real sense of conflict or tension or this is what we should look forward to. It's just basically the introduction to the story, right? And that's what I was saying. I do hope that we do get a follow up though, so because I know Ansel have a lot of things in the pipeline come next year, but I do hope that he finds the time, that's all I'll say just as a wrap up here, to continue on the story. Because I think that he hit the nail on something really good here. As far as like an altered timeline, sort of cyberpunk inspired futuristic story, right?
Right.
Centered on these bounty hunters and all that kind of stuff. So again, you're getting that sort of a Cowboy Bebop kind of vibe from it, right? But what I do hope that we get is a bigger sense of what the story is, what the stakes are, and how it relates to our lead characters, and just the world that they inhabit as well. I want to get a bigger sense of what this world is and why it's so distinct from what we've seen before, right? From the Vil Ventures universe, right? So as it stands, I am liking what I'm seeing here so far. This is really impressive at the moment, right? So as it is a pilot episode and as it is a intro, basically, if I have to rate it, I'll just give it a decent 3 out of 5. It's eyed for what it is. I wish you could have got more in terms of story and world building, but I mean the groundwork is intriguing enough. It's entertaining enough, and it looks promising enough. I could see this being, just a great series in, this whole Vil Ventures universe, right? And lastly, I'm also not expecting this show to connect to any of the previous shows at all, nor do I want it to connect at all. I want it to be its own distinct thing, far away from the Visa Clause and the Sister Bonds and all these other shows. I want it to be its own thing, tell its own story, and just have its own character as well too, right? Yes, it is from the same director, the same writer, which is Ansel and whatnot, right? But I want it to have its own, little identity, if you will, compared to what we saw before, right? So I hope that we get more of a sense of that in the upcoming episodes, which I do hope that we see, if anything, during next year, right? So yes, like everybody else, I'm actually excited to see where the story goes, right? But we're off to a promising start. I'll say that we're off to a promising start here with the show.